and newcomers. And the simple answer to that for me is, if they, the negotiating parties, get ACTA right, then the impact is either going to be minimal or nothing at all. Because, as so many people before me have said, this is a negotiation of the willing, and of the ones who actually have proven that they already know how to enforce intellectual property rights. I would not entirely include Mexico and Morocco in that, but they're the coalition of the willing hangers-on, and they want to be also good pupils in the class. And so I'm sure that they will get there. But the overwhelming majority of negotiating parties of ACTA are countries that already have a very good track record in fighting counterfeiting and piracy. So again, if the negotiating parties get it right, and I'll tell you later on what we think right is, then I don't think we'll feel a big difference. However, if they don't get it right, if ACTA is indeed what so many people think it is, based on all the leaked documents, if it actually goes beyond just fighting counterfeiting and piracy, if it is about, for example, infringement of intellectual property rights, which under each and every different jurisdiction may mean something completely different. It may not be limited to fake and illegal goods. Then we enter into a whole new area where a lot of countries may have to change their laws very substantially, which will make it very difficult for players. If far-reaching criminal sanctions are introduced, again, you'll see a lot of different legal systems that may have to adapt to that. If in our view ACTA isn't gotten right, then you see a major impact on business, in particular on the new innovative companies, who will not be in a position to properly deal with all the new regulations and all the new obligations that are being imposed upon them. And one of them stands out, and I will come back to that, which is really the fundament and the basis of e-commerce and of all trade and development on internet. So, am I saying that eBay actually doesn't take counterfeiting seriously? Not at all. We take it extremely seriously. We have put in place a whole range of measures, and some people in this room are engaged in talks with us bilaterally and in other frameworks, and they are aware of all the preventive, proactive and reactive measures that we've put in place to fight counterfeiting, also of all the information that we make available to our users. And there's one very, very simple reason, and I think all serious players on the internet, all e-commerce players have that very same reason. If you go to a site, and it's all based on trust, I'll come back to trust as well, it's all based on trust. If you go to a site and you buy something, and what you receive is not what you expected to receive, then we know that in 80% of all cases, you will not only never ever go back to that site again, but you will tell your family and your friends that you had a very bad experience. So, not only you, but the whole ink spot effect will be that many, many people will not turn to that site for their buying experience, for purchasing goods. So we have a major interest, as a brand owner, as a protector of brands as well, to keep our site as clean as possible. Whilst acknowledging, and everybody I think in their right mind will do so, that zero counterfeiting is impossible. So we fight it to the absolute minimum possible. And on the statistical side, and we have very easy statistics since we're an online company, I can tell you that only 0.2% or even less of all the listings on eBay are in any way suspicious, through our own filtering mechanisms or through the notices that we've received from both rights owners and consumers and users of eBay. So a very, very small part of what is on our site may be suspect of being counterfeit. Why is that, I would say, very laudable result? And how have we achieved that? Through all our measures. And you will see that most of the measures we take actually go way beyond our legal requirements. They go beyond the requirements that we have through case law. And why are we in a position to do that? And why are we actually doing it? Well, that is simply put, thanks to the European Union regime on host liability that is laid down in the e-commerce directive and in the enforcement directive. So it's thanks to the acquis communautaire. And that, for me, is really the pivotal part of ACTA. It is thanks to this regime, very balanced, that has been very carefully negotiated about 10 years ago, that is now laid down in the e-commerce and the enforcement directive. I'm not talking about IPRED 2, but IPRED 1. It's thanks to that we as Internet players feel very comfortable not only to have a notice and takedown system, but to go the extra mile in keeping our site clean. And a recent case that our colleagues at Google encountered in Italy, where some of their managers have been sentenced to jail, shows that if there is a wrong interpretation, or there may be a wrong interpretation, because there again we're still guessing what the judge has based its decision on, but if there is any interpretation or judgment that seems to undermine this host liability exemption that we have under the e-commerce directive, you come into a situation where, as an Internet company, you will be forced to edit and control every single piece of information that is put on your site. And I can tell you that is humanly, commercially, economically, and technically totally impossible. Fine. As I said, we're big. We're 14,500 people. We can have massive departments and we can put hundreds of people doing that. What about newcomers? What about small players? What about if they make a mistake? How many lawyers, how many fees will they have to allocate to defend their cases? What will this do? This will completely stifle innovation and development of the digital single market in the EU. So, that is where we come to the point of ACTA and the digital agenda. And again, I'll give you a small figure to show you how important it is that the EU goes for this development of their new economy and doesn't hold on to last century's economy and tries to